The content shared on the Brain Scrub is based on the personal experiences, perspectives, and opinions of the host and guests. While mental health topics may be discussed, the views expressed are not intended to represent scientific consensus, clinical research, or professional advice. This podcast is for entertainment and self-reflection purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health care, diagnosis, or treatment. Listeners are encouraged to seek support from qualified healthcare providers for any medical or psychological concerns. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that any actions you take based on its content are your own responsibility. Hello, welcome to the Brain Scrub. My name's Glenn Sollers. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. It's been a sad week here in my home province of British Columbia. There was a mass shooting in a small community called Tumbler Ridge, where a 18-year-old woman, transgender woman, went into a school after shooting her mother and stepbrother and killed 5 students and a teacher and injured many others. It's very sad that this happens and that there is so much hate in this world for people who might be different, people who are not like us, people in different countries. And I could go on and on and on. This is a super sad event. My heart goes out to anybody who's experienced anything like this, or the families of those who have been killed needlessly by others. But also it's a call for help. It's a call for governments to focus more on mental health and helping children, our youth, adults, get through challenging situations, challenging times, dealing with trauma that we might have been through. I, myself, know this all too well through my experiences, and as a child, feeling like nobody understood me. I didn't fit in. I lost friends. I was seeking help somewhere. And what it turned into was aches and pains in my bodies, worried that I had some sort of disease, always asking my mother for reassurance because there must be something wrong. As Bad Bunny said during the Super Bowl halftime show, love is far more powerful than hate. And I see the hate spreading out there in social media from leaders, treating others like they don't belong, that you're not worthy of being here. It is so sad. And from a person who's highly compassionate about the world, I've been to different parts of the world. I've seen people live differently. And yes, there's communist governments out there. There's more social, responsible governments out there. There are right-wing governments out there. Regardless, we're all people. We are all people who are given one chance at living in this life. And it can end so quickly based on one person's actions, people's beliefs. Sometimes in the name of God, things are done. Or those that preach that God exists and we're under God, we're doing things for God, can turn around and treat people like enemies, like they're lesser than, that they don't belong. And really, we all just want to belong and be part of something greater and live our life to the best of our potential. Yet, we can easily turn a blind eye to what's going on in different countries because it's not in our backyard. And this whole mandate of make us the best country, or we're the number one country, us first, in a global world where our actions can impact so many others, that type of thinking is flawed. Because people in Cuba, as an example, they have a right to live and be happy and prosper. And I've been to that country at least 6 times. And yes, there's parts of it that are run down, but the people are so kind and so gentle. And now that they're not allowed to get oil from their energy partner, Venezuela, or any other governments that choose to want to try to support that country will be reprimanded so they can't get oil, they're going to suffer because of somebody's belief about that country. Egos get in the way. The us versus them. Look at what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Lots of talk, but no action. People are still dying there. Lots of talk, no action about mental health. I could go on and on and on. And yes, there are small incremental changes happening around mental health and mental health awareness. But then we have leaders out there that breed hate, that stresses us out, that creates fear, which feeds social media. And then we become more hateful as human beings. And we start to treat people as human doings versus human beings. And I've said this before on the podcast. And that is such a toxic world to live in. It's no wonder there's so much divide. It's no wonder there is so much divide. Look at who is sometimes leading these great nations that we live in. What are they role modeling? What behaviors do you see? What's happening as a consequence? Now, that's the first thing I want to talk about, is love versus hate. We all are trying to make it through this life the best we can. And if we can somehow help others, be there to support others, try to see it from their perspective, what are they dealing with? Life would become so much more community-oriented. There'd be so much more love. But no, we'll easily point fingers at another. We don't always look at the root cause of things, such as gun control. And people are allowed to buy guns, as an example, in the United States. And then we wonder why people are shooting each other. We sell weapons to other countries to kill people in other countries. One would think that at the age we're in, at the know-how we have in this world, that we would stop this nonsense and start trying to get along and not force our opinion, our beliefs on other people and view them as the enemy. This kind of awareness does take behavioral change and change in our beliefs and change in what supports our beliefs. And social media, for me, is a big thing to look at in terms of a first step that I need to take. Because right now, the media is inundated with disturbing news, lies. Some media outlets have the truth, but a lot of them are biased, spreading lies, manufacturing stories and narratives that are fueling more and more hatred of others. One of those platforms is YouTube. Yes, YouTube has a lot of great things about it. But for me, what I'm experiencing now is, of course, the algorithms that know Glenn. And Glenn is addicted to sometimes dysfunction in this world. And what's going on with the Trump regime, what's going on in different countries. I have a lot of compassion for others. And sometimes that's a burden because it creates more anger within me, more fear, disgust, and emotions that are not serving me and my lifespan. If I think about the hate that was generated about me from my ex-wife and my son, is just an example of that. That many people suffer based on spreading lies and hate amongst others versus us just having a conversation and trying to get along and trying to figure things out, trying to problem solve. And yes, there is a certain percent of the population that will not do that because it's all about them. It's all about winning. And I'll get into that in another episode. So my commitment that I'm going to take action on, and I've talked about this before, and I haven't done it because I keep on addicted to YouTube. Whether it's watching Jon Stewart, who, by the way, I think is brilliant. Jimmy Kimmel, I think is brilliant. Even sometimes I'll watch Fox News to get a different perspective. Brian Tyler Cohen, people who are advocates for parental alienation, courts and what's going on at the federal system, watching that and hearing the interactions between people. What it's doing is it's feeding me information that reinforces my beliefs about things and my disgust in what I'm seeing happen unfold to many people out there, from their leaders and those that support the leaders, around the rhetoric and lies, blatant lies that are not factual at all. And look into this. Look into how you can tell people are lying. And that, again, is another episode I'll get into. But it's a tool for manipulation so that one can meet their agenda in many political respects. And this doesn't happen all over the world. Many countries out there are focused more on global. It's not just about us. It's about how do we all get along. However, the common theme for me is negativity. 75%, they say, of our thoughts are automatically negative anyway. And then we doom scroll. We look at Facebook. We find things to be angry at, things that reinforce our opinions. And this is like fertilizer that grows more and more anger and resentment inside. And if you don't think it has a negative impact on your body, we'll chat again in 10 years. I know all too well it does. So for me, I am addicted to this negativity, the dysfunction, the fear, the worry, the upset, and the sadness it creates. And by looking at YouTube, it's like a drug. I get my fill. There we go. Okay, yep, I got that negativity in me. I got that dysfunction in me. And there is a payoff. There's a payoff in any action we do. We might want to change a habit, but there's a reason we don't, because it's giving us something. Even though you might deny it, if you actually do some digging down deeper, there's a payoff. And the payoff here is that I feel better about myself, that I'm a good human being. So it validates who I am, and it validates me as a problem solver, and that I can help other people, that I see the faults in other things, that I have compassion. So it justifies my ego in many respects because I care. Now, if I think about that and this desire to be on YouTube, one can look at their early life experiences and start to realize, why do I do what I do now? Why am I on YouTube? Why am I addicted to this stuff? Why do I focus on the negative? And for me, if I think about my childhood, I grew up in that type of home where it was a very negative environment. I had to be hypervigilant. I had to keep my eyes open. I had to look at problems out there. I had to kind of predict and control. So by me looking at social media, I'm kind of predicting and controlling how am I going to react to situations. It was very difficult for me to live in the moment and live in the, I wonder what's going to happen, because I could have died. Now, not literally, but as a child, I had so much fear. Having to camp out in the forest, having to run away, having to hide in my room while I heard things going on outside my door. For me, to circumvent death and be safe, I had to become a problem solver and figure out, how do I make it in this dysfunctional world? What happens sometimes is we will start creating an environment for ourselves that feeds what we learned at a younger age, because our brain becomes accustomed to that. I'm used to being in a dysfunctional world. So what do? Is I create dysfunction. I've been in dysfunctional relationships. I've been bullied. And history tends to repeat itself because the brain knows that's going to feed the ego. That's who you are. You're the problem solver, Glenn. You deal with dysfunction. You care so much about other people. And I keep it alive. And I'm now becoming more and more conscious of that. Just like when I went through the eventual loss of my son, I was out there really trying to advocate, trying to resolve the problem, trying to share information, not taking no for an answer, being a reasonable person with unreasonable people. It doesn't work. If somebody is being unreasonable, or they might have a personality disorder, like sociopathic disorder, they are not reasonable. They don't see reason. They just want to win. And I had that in my home environment. And I created that same environment in my life. I am used to living like that. Now, at my age, it's time to stop. It's time to stop feeding myself with negativity and focusing in on that brings me joy and happiness. So I can reverse the trends of my health, my mental health, the love I have for myself, the love I have for others, and be grateful for this short life that I have on this earth. We only have one chance of living. And yes, I know there's beliefs out there that say you're going to come back, but really, one chance. In Tumbler Ridge, there was 9 people that lost their chance of a full life. And that's it. We have a gift of living. Every minute counts. Think about those people that maybe you hate. Think about those people that are lesser than. And what do you think they're going through? Is your hate worth it? Because anger and resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. Love is stronger than hate. Look at those things that feed your beliefs, that reinforce who you think you are and who you need to be. Again, for me, it's social media, YouTube. I got myself off Facebook. I haven't gone back there. I'm not on Instagram. And now, other than doing my yoga nidra meditation, I'm off YouTube. Because it fuels the wrong part of me. In that time that I spend fueling negativity, instead, I could be learning more Spanish. I could be going for a walk in the forest. I could connect with friends. I could sing a song. I could reach out to somebody who I haven't talked to in a long time. I can meditate in peace. Folks, seek the love. Do not contribute to the hate. We all are valuable to others in our life. People depend on us. We are a gift to the world and to community. Build those connections, build understanding, build relationships. And that's really what life is about. Thanks for listening.